Hello, my name is Nathan Davenport, and today in this educational video we'll be talking about an inspiratory muscle warm-up. So the first thing we'll be looking at the fundamentals of just a warm-up in general, then we'll look at how to carry out a specific inspiratory muscle warm-up, and then finally we'll critique the research surrounding this topic.
First of all, we're going to talk about the two main types of warm-ups. First of them being an active warm-up. This involves whole body exercise with the main aim of increasing body temperature. And this whole body exercise can be sport specific, so it can involve actions related to your sport. Next, there's passive warm-up. This involves no exercise whatsoever, but still has the main aim of increasing body temperature. This can be done through submersing yourself in a hot bath, taking a shower, or even wearing a heated vest. So now you know the two types of warm-ups you can carry out, you now need to know how to structure a warm-up correctly. And Bishop 2003 came up with 4 factors to consider. First of them being duration. The activities in the warm-up need to be long enough so you can reap the physiological benefits associated, such as an increase in body temperature and an increase in blood flow to the working muscles. Next is intensity. You want to be working hard enough during the warm-up, but not too hard, which could potentially cause injury. Thirdly is specificity. The actions in the warm-up need to be specific to the sport you're about to partake in. Finally is recovery. The time between the warm-up and the exercise itself needs to be long enough so the body can fully recover. So that's how you warm up the working muscles, but what about the inspiratory muscles? So the inspiratory muscles are very highly fatigue resistant as you're using them from the day you were born to the day you die. However, during exercise they can be put under a lot of stress. So let's have a look at the muscles themselves. First, there's the diaphragm, which is the primary muscle. There's also the external and internal intercostal muscles, as well as the scalene muscles and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Now, a paper that looks at the importance of all of these muscles was carried out by Harms et al. In 1997. We found that when these muscles were fatigued, they induced what is known as a metaboreflex, which is where there's decreased blood flow to the locomotor muscles, which then cause locomotor muscle fatigue, negatively affecting performance. So how do you warm up the muscles then? In 1999, Burley and et al. Created what is considered the gold standard method of inspiratory muscle warm-ups. First, you calculate maximal inspiratory mouth pressure, or MIP, which measures the collective strength of all the previously mentioned inspiratory muscles. You then set the load of your pressure threshold loading device, in this case a power breathe, to 40% of that previously calculated MIP. You then carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths with 30-second rest in between the 2 sets, making sure you take deep breaths to recruit as many of the previously mentioned inspiratory muscles as possible. However, there are only acute benefits to this warm-up as they only last about 15 minutes. So now we know how to carry out an inspiratory muscle warm-up. Let's have a look at the research supporting the use of one. Tong and Fu 2006 carried out research where the aim was to examine the effects of a specific inspiratory muscle warm-up on an intense intermittent run to exhaustion. They recruited 10 healthy males who regularly participated in intermittent sports such as football and rugby. They would carry out a standardised whole body warm-up with either the inclusion of no inspiratory muscle warm-up, a placebo where they would carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths at 15% of their MIP, or an inspiratory muscle warm-up condition where they would carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths at 40% MIP. After this, they would then take part in a yo-yo intermittent recovery test, which involved 20-metre sprints to the sound of a buzzer with sporadic 5-metre recovery periods. The test would end when they couldn't keep up to the buzzer. So, just to explain the standardised whole body warm-up in a bit more detail, for the no inspiratory muscle warm-up condition, all they would carry out is 5 minutes treadmill running, followed by 10 minutes of stretching, which was then followed by 5 minutes of outside running. However, all of these 3 were self-selected, meaning they selected what pace they ran out and what stretches they carried out. And then for the placebo and inspiratory muscle warm-up condition, they still carried out these 3 things, but in between the stretching and the outside running, that is when they would carry out their power breathe exercises. So now let's have a look at the results for this study. First of all, yo-yo test performance, which was 19% higher in the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition than the control and 13% higher than the placebo, meaning that participants were allowed to perform for longer. Also, the rate of perceived breathlessness was lower for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition compared to the other 2 conditions. And when finally looking at MIP, this was also significantly higher in the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition compared to the placebo and control conditions. This may have been due to the inspiratory muscles being adequately warmed up in this condition, allowing them to exert more pressure and force. However, there come a few limitations with the study. The first of them being that the warm-up is not validated, As the participants were able to select their own paces and what stretches to carry out, they may not have had the correct knowledge to perform an appropriate warm-up for this test. Also, with the presence of the power breathe in the placebo and inspiratory muscle warm-up conditions, this then led to them having a prolonged warm-up which could influence their results. Also, I believe that the warm-up didn't adequately prepare the participants to perform to the best of their abilities in the yo-yo test, meaning that the results are not representative of what they could potentially carry out. Also, there should have been a no warm-up condition, so therefore you could compare whether the presence of a warm-up actually influenced and affected the participants' ability to perform in the test. However, a study that disagrees with the findings of Tong and Fu 2006 and also, unlike them, uses a standardized, tailored warm-up to the test being carried out was Johnson et al. 2014. The aim of this study was to look at the effects of an active cycling warm-up, either with or without an inspiratory muscle warm-up, on a 10-kilometre cycling time trial performance. They recruited 10 cyclists who carried out 3 different conditions. The first involved a no warm-up, where they would just sit down prior to the time trial. The next being a cycling-specific warm-up, and the last one being a cycling-specific warm-up as well as an inspiratory muscle warm-up. Both these 2 conditions involve 3 5-minute cycles at 70%, 80% and 90% of their gas exchange threshold. However, the condition also involved in the inspiratory muscle warm-up involved using a power breathe, where they would carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths at 40% of their MIP with a 30-second rest in between the 2 sets. This would be carried out before these cycles. Then after these, they would carry out the 10-kilometre time trial, where they could use the cyclist 2, which allows the cyclist to take the frame of their own bike and use that during the trial so they feel familiar with the equipment. The main findings from this paper was that there was no difference in time trial performance between the CYC and the CYC plus inspiratory muscle warm-up conditions. However, both were quicker than the non-warm-up condition. Therefore, they concluded that having a tailored specific warm-up can adequately prime the inspiratory muscles to perform well during exercise. However, there are a few strengths and limitations of this paper. One strength being the use of the cyclist 2. This allowed the participants to feel natural and comfortable when carrying out the time trial, as they could use the frame of their own bikes. However, the limitation of the paper is the time between the inspiratory muscle warm-up and the actual time trial itself may have been too long for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition, as there was slightly more than 15 minutes in between these 2 time points. Therefore, the acute benefits of the inspiratory muscle warm-up may have disappeared by then, therefore leading to these findings. An issue with the 2 previously mentioned papers is that they only look at the effect of an inspiratory muscle warm-up on endurance exercise and not on a sport-specific activity. However, a paper by Lin et al. In 2007 did look at this. They looked at the effect of an inspiratory muscle warm-up on inspiratory muscle function and maximum distance covered during a badminton footwork test. They recruited 10 male badminton players and got them to carry out 3 variations of a standardised badminton-specific warm-up that's followed the same format as Tong and Fu earlier mentioned. However, the outside run was replaced by badminton-specific activity. First variation involved a no inspiratory muscle warm-up condition. Next was a placebo, where they'd use the power breathe to carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths at 15% MIP. Finally, there was an inspiratory muscle warm-up condition, where they carry out 2 sets of 30 breaths at 40% MIP. After these warm-ups, they would then carry out a badminton footwork test where the total distance covered was measured. The main findings of this paper was that MIP for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition significantly increased compared to the other 2 conditions, with an increase of 7.8%. Also, perceived breathlessness was lower for this condition, which is what they believe was the cause for the next finding, which was that distance covered in the badminton footwork test was higher for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition. However, a few critical points to this paper is that, once again, like the Tong and Fu paper, there was not a validated warm-up. Also, like Tong and Fu, there was a lack of a no warm-up condition, so you couldn't compare whether the presence of a warm-up influenced results. However, it is sport specific, so any badminton players may see this paper and see the benefits and may decide to use inspiratory muscle warm-up. Another paper that also looked at a sport-specific action was carried out by Volianitis et al. 2001, whose aim was to look at the effect of a specific inspiratory muscle warm-up on rowing performance. They recruited 14 well-trained male rowers who carried out 3 different conditions. First, they would carry out a submaximal warm-up. Next was a rowing-specific warm-up, and finally there was a rowing-specific warm-up plus an inspiratory muscle warm-up as well. After these warm-ups, they would then carry out a 6-minute all-out rowing simulation. So the results of this paper was that mean power output for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition was significantly higher, with an increase of 1.2%. Also, dyspnea, or the difficulty of breathing, decreased for the inspiratory muscle warm-up condition. However, an issue with this paper is, once again, there is a lack of a no warm-up condition, so you can't compare whether the presence of a warm-up affected the results. Also, another possible problem is to do with the actual rowing action, as the inspiratory muscles are also used to help with posture and stroke rate. This is known as locomotor respiratory coupling.
Okay, just to summarise what I've been talking about in this video, so there's still a lot of ambiguity surrounding the topic of an inspiratory muscle warm-up, but it's up to you or an athlete to decide whether it's helpful or not, but I hope this video has helped you make an informed decision based on previous research.